Hello and welcome to another edition of Detroiters Think Big, a small business podcast presented by the Detroit Regional Chamber and Rocket Mortgage. I am your host, Devin O'Reilly, Director of Entrepreneurship, and with me today is Lester Gouvia. He's the founder, he's the chef, he's the owner, he's everything at Norma G's in Detroit. Welcome, Lester.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Devin. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you. I understand you're in the kitchen now, getting food ready for the day.
Yes, I'm actually marinating the chicken for the jerk, and I've got some oxtails to cook today and some chickpeas, and sort of getting ready for the evening.
Awesome. That sounds delicious. So let's talk a little bit more about your background and how you kind of got to this space. So what's more about your background? How did you kind of start in cooking, and where did this idea of Norma G's come about?
Well, I was in the corporate world for many years. I hate to give my age, so I'm not going. Don't ask me, okay? I did, but I was in corporate for many, many years, and throughout the years of doing, some charity work and things like that for my kids when they were in Catholic school, I actually started donating my time and dinners at my home. And I was always cooking. I mean, that was just something that I did, especially with my family, my mom and my sister. And just a brief note, Norma is my mom. She's passed away, but this is sort of a tribute to her. But I did a lot of cooking and parties, private parties at my home. And I really started to enjoy, cooking for people and entertaining. And people really responded very well. And back in 2014, got downsized from my last corporate job, and just one of those things where you just have to, where do you go? Do you want to go back into that? Do you want to stay with it? Do you want to do something different? And my family just looked at me and said, do what you love to do. They said, you got a passion for cooking. They said, just try and figure out how you can make that work. And at the time, trying to open a brick and mortar, I think in Detroit was fairly complicated, and there were so many unknowns, and the food truck scene was actually taking off. So as I did my research, I said, maybe we start with a food truck, build a brand, and see how it goes, see how people respond to me. So I took the time, put the effort and energy in, and it was very difficult, not easy. I have to say that. I mean, at the time, there were several food trucks out there, but not as many as you see today. And you just basically followed those people and got a lot of advice. And St. Cece's was the place where I actually honed my skills as far as working in a commercial kitchen and really putting my food out to the public first. And that was the step along the way while I was working on the food truck. So it was a little complex, but I think both ways helped me really understand how the brand should be and how I should approach this. And in 2015, at the beginning, I rolled out my food truck, and it started from there. And one of the questions, yeah,
I remember seeing the food truck everywhere. And for those listening, St. Cece's, I used to love that place. Now Lady of the House, another great restaurant,
yes.
But St. Cece's was great. And so how did you decide kind of where to go with your food truck, or where were you kind of mapping out where you would go?
Well, I think if some people remember, at that time, trying to do a food truck in Detroit was very difficult because there were a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, and very expensive. So I took the angle of working more in the Oakland County area, where it was a lot simpler, a lot less complex. And I started, basically, you reach out to different organizations, different groups, and corporate offices at the time loved to feed their people. They didn't have cafeterias. So they would basically reach out and say, hey, can you bring your truck to our location for lunch? And once you did that, it just word of mouth spread, and you would just keep getting calls. And then I worked at different locations downtown Detroit when they did the food rallies on Cadillac Square, and the Cricket Loans did that. And I was down there for a while, and that again helped build the brand. And basically people started hiring me out. And again, it just started growing from there.
Yeah, and then of course you eventually got your brick and mortar location.
Well, people kept coming up and say, where are you located? I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, where's your restaurant? I'm like, I don't have one. And I started thinking, okay, maybe people would be interested. And again, the feedback was very, very positive, very strong about the food. And I said, you know what would be a nicer way to serve this food than styrofoam. And basically, it was,
Right.
let's put it in a nice environment. So I started working on that project, and I mean, I went through a lot of different groups, Hatch Detroit, Motor City Match, Prosperous Detroit, a lot of different people and mentors, Tech Town, that were very, very helpful, and found a place here on East Jefferson, which is the old Jefferson-Chalmers Incorporated headquarters. It was an old bank, and they were looking to revitalize their neighborhood. And basically, we started working on that relationship and started working on the building, and that's where we came about with the restaurant.
Fantastic. And talk about your relationship with that community, the Jefferson-Chalmers area. I know there's a lot of kind of exciting developments happening there in terms of new businesses, in terms of bike lanes, and it's getting some attention, right?
Yes, it is. Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was designated a historic district. So, it has a lot of charm, a lot of great qualities. People have negative thoughts about these neighborhoods, but I saw a lot of value here. So it's a gem, if you will. And I kind of equated it back to New York, because I lived in New York for quite a while. And, it was a time when the village, Greenwich Village in New York, was really seedy, and it wasn't really looked upon as a nice place. And now it's a place you can't even afford to live anymore.
Right.
All these popular and well-known people are there. So I'm not saying this is a Greenwich Village, but I think it has the potential to really grow into a nice neighborhood. And that's what I saw. It was rough, it was raw, but I saw that. And Jefferson East had several projects going, and I actually was the first project that they implemented, meaning, asking me to open the restaurant. There's much more to come, and obviously COVID and some other things slowed it down. But it's been challenging being the only one here right now. As far as a eating establishment, there are other small stores, dress shops, but as far as an eating establishment, I'm the only one. And I'm hoping that others are going to come very soon and help me keep growing this area.
Sure. So talk a little bit about the COVID impact and kind of your journey through the last year.
Wow, that's a tough question, Devin, because
I know.
I think
tough question, tough answer.
I think one of the things I remember every day, I'm not in this alone. I'm not the only person. And I think we have to remember that. We've all gone through a very difficult time, and it's been challenging. What's been really interesting, to give you the positive side first, I think people have been very, very supportive. People have really come around. Our regulars have said, you know what, we're going to stick by you. People come in every day and say, thank you for being open. We appreciate it. We know how difficult it is. So from a positive aspect, I think that has been great, and it's a good feeling, especially for my team and myself. As far as, all the other things, obviously it's been a financial impact. Quite frankly, I was expecting it to be worse, but I think what I did was I got really cheap, and I said, I'm not going to pay myself much, if any, and I'm going to watch the pennies every chance I got. So it actually helped me, budget better and really manage the business better. But the key for me was to try and keep my staff, as much as my staff intact, much of the team intact. And I was able to do that. We took all the precautions we could. We really stuck by the rules and the guidelines. It wasn't easy having some people come in and not agree with it. We didn't have any fights or anything like you read about sometimes, but we did have some disgruntled visitors, and we just told them, I said, we've got to protect not just you all, but we have to protect ourselves. So, it was a learning curve, one I didn't really want to go through. I didn't expect it. And the funny part is it happened sort of right after our first year and a half. So it was really scary to know that this was happening, and we were still trying to build the brand as far as the restaurant and still try to grow.
Sure. So what were some of those changes that you made? Were you open for carry out the whole time? Did you do delivery? Did you end up doing any kind of indoor service when you could?
Well, when we started in March, obviously we had to switch to carry out, and we were doing that before. I wasn't a proponent. Trust me, I did not want to do carry out initially in this business in my restaurant, but my staff, pushed me, and they said, you got it. And then later on, they looked at me and said, aren't you glad you did that? I'm like, yeah, okay, you guys are right, But we did the carry out, and basically, we couldn't do the in dining. Once they allowed us to open back up in June, we did go to the 50% capacity. And with the weather being good, we have a patio outside. So
Oh, that's
that
great.
really helped a lot. Yeah, that really was a big positive for me, that was already in place. And the carry out, like I said, continued because people just supported us. But we did the sanitizing. I still kept cleaning my restaurant even though people were not in here. I do a deep clean once a week. I have someone come in, and I continue to do that because I just wanted to make sure we did the right things. We had the plexiglass dividers, between the tables and the bars, and we really stuck to the guidelines and the rules. And I think that made a difference. When people came in, they looked and they said, you know what, we're comfortable coming here because you're doing the right things. I've had doctors, respond and basically get up leaving and say, you know what, you're doing everything you're supposed to, and we appreciate that. We'll be back. And I think that was really the one thing I got that was positive. My team and I really love that.
That's great. And what about the truck? Did it get shelved, or was the truck shelved?
No, eventually the truck had to go away because it was way too much. Like, you weren't joking when you first introduced me. I am the owner, I'm the chef, I shop, I do the cooking, I do a lot of cleaning as well. So it was a lot to do just in the restaurant alone. And the truck I couldn't do it. So it went to a nice family. I got some friends, the Mean Weenie people, and they were one of the people that I worked with regarding being a commissary when I did have the truck. So they picked it up, and because they were expanding, so it's in a good home right now. I miss it, quite frankly. I do miss it, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's great. So you're gonna focus fully on the brick and mortar operations.
Right now I am, I did create my own pepper sauce, if I may mention that, so I did bottle that. So I'm looking at something like that and maybe a couple other items down the road, but the restaurant is the key, and that is primary. I mean, it is the brand. So I need to make sure that stays strong if at all possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes total sense. I want to switch a little bit and talk about let's talk about the food. We haven't really got into the food yet. So talk about the flavor of this food. What makes it different? Obviously, there's the Caribbean vibe. Tell me more about the food.
Well, I was born in Trinidad, so a lot of people come in and they go, "Oh, it's a Jamaican restaurant." I'm like, no offense to my Jamaican brothers and sisters, but I'm from Trinidad, so it's a it's a little different. But Caribbean, I try to explain to people, there's no one set, there's no one set type of food. We've been introduced to so many different cultures, French, Spanish, English, Dutch, Chinese, East Indian. I mean, there's so many different cultures that's really what our food is. Our food is really a combination of all these different cultures. So if I do a mélange, which is, it sounds French, but really it's eggplant. And we used to do it as a curry. So since I have other curries, I don't really do the mélange in a curry. I do it in a marinara kind of sauce that I make. And, we serve that obviously over rice. So that has that kind of influence, European influence. Then the curries definitely are very prominent. And those are the East Indian folks that, came to Trinidad, and we eat a lot of curries there. So I have the curry goat, I have the curry chicken, I have a vegan curry. And then obviously, you have your other dishes like the oxtail, which is one of our most popular ones. I do a braised oxtail on the bone. And, that has really been popular. We have fish. We could do the fish in a curry. It's a snapper that I do. And we could also do it in a tomato, onion, garlic sauce that I make. So it's really across the board. And the appetizers, the jerk wings, the jerk chicken, we do different things like that. And it's been exciting just to be able to introduce it to people, and just the good responses. Now, some of my Caribbean brothers and sisters come in and, well, that's like mom, mom used to bake. I'm like, this is mom's place. This is my place. So, work with me a little bit because I need a little bit of creativity here, So,
Yeah.
so sit back, have a cocktail and enjoy.
Yeah, no, for sure. You hit all the items I was thinking of when I was looking at the menu. The oxtail, the jerk chicken. That it all looks delicious. Those flavors of the different curries that you have. You have seafood as well for people
Yes.
who are pescatarians or what have you, even vegetarian. You've got a house mac and cheese. So you've got all the favorites.
Yes. I try to cover everything that we ate at home. That was our Sunday dinner, our weekly dinners, things that I know that we ate that I would want to introduce to people. And just to say quickly, Devin, when people come into Norma G's, it's really, my mom was a great entertainer. When I say that, she just loved people when they came. She fed them. She gave them something to drink. There was good conversation. And the reason I'm sort of putting this on her is because she taught me that. And I just want people to come in and have that experience. It's like you're coming to my home and you're just having food and a drink and good conversation and meeting new people and making friends. And, I just got to tell you this. We actually have had, in our 2.5 years around, we've had three couples come in and get engaged here. And it's been exciting to see that, So I'm like, I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm doing the right thing.
Wow, that's great. And so
Yeah.
you alluded to, sit back and have a cocktail, which maybe people don't realize you can actually do at your place. You have a full bar.
Yep.
The cocktail menu has definitely almost like a tiki Caribbean vibe to it. A lot of rum, a lot of tiki drinks. Makes you want to be on a beach or an island somewhere.
That's the whole idea. Now, the tiki part, we don't have the thatch hut and all that stuff. I said, I'm not going to go that route. Okay, we're going to look kind of cool here. But definitely a lot of rums. I'm trying to pick up many rums, but definitely we push a lot of Trinidad rums and Barbados rums. But we've got Guatemalan rums, Dominican rums. Jamaican rums. So I want it to be a little different. I didn't want to have it to be a bar that you walk in and you just order these normal regular drinks that you normally order. I mean, you could get a vodka tonic and stuff like that, scotch and soda, whatever, but I wanted to really create a vibe and an atmosphere. When you come in, you were tasting something different. One of our most popular ones is our sorrel. So it's a hibiscus flower dried that I boil with cinnamon and clove, and I sweeten it slightly, and we do mix that with rum and vodka. So that's very, very popular. And then my Al's rum punch, which is my dad's recipe, used to make it every Christmas. And basically that's a sort of a sweet and sour kind of mix with rum and fresh grated nutmeg. So, we're trying to do something a little different. I bring some of the holidays in, and so far so good. So far so good.
I really appreciate that, because I feel like, the food is creative, then, the drink should be equally creative. And I don't think that a lot of people realize how complex and diverse rum is. I think people are kind of maybe just used to like a Captain Morgan or a Bacardi, but if you start getting into the tiki drinks and kind of the Caribbean rums, there's all sorts of different rums with all sorts of different flavors.
But definitely, people, obviously rum's one of the bases is sugarcane, and it just depends on how they age it and what types of barrels they use. So I have 3 different kind of rums from the same manufacturer, but one's aged maybe a couple of years, one's about 5 to 7, the other one's a little bit more, and it could be a cognac cask, it could be a bourbon barrel, so the flavors that come out of that, and then you have that sugar cane sweetness and stuff, the smokiness. It's amazing tasting like 5 different rums, how dramatically different they are, but all enjoyable. We even do a couple flights, so it gives people a chance to really experience the rum itself without mixing it. And that usually helps, them really understand and appreciate what they're drinking.
Sure. No, that's really cool. I'm looking forward to it. So in that vein, looking ahead to better times, warmer times, hopefully. I can't wait to check out your patio and have a rum cocktail.
Yes.
Talk about what you're looking forward to. What are you looking forward to in the next 3 to 6 months as things start to warm up, as hopefully people are able to, be outside and gather a little bit more? What are you looking forward to?
Well, right now, a lot of prayers. I'm praying a lot because we need to get through this quickly. Obviously, we've been shut down again until the 29th of March. So we still have the restrictions, but hopefully the weather will start changing around that time. I'm looking forward to really opening back that patio again and really just seeing the smiling faces. I want a little quick shout out to Detroit of Bloom, who's a group in the neighborhood that does planting and flowers and gardening and stuff. And they've really been a big part of this. They come and they actually do my flowers for me for the patio in the front. I'm really missing that. I want to see that. It brightens the place and people come in and they really enjoy it. I just want to see smiling faces, people coming in again and just sitting down and breathing, just calming down, taking a nice breath and sipping a cocktail and talking to each other. I mean, I'm really looking for. I miss the people. I miss the smiles. And I really, that's what I'm hoping we will see in the very near future.
Yes, I think we can all agree we want that, and I would definitely say Norma G's is the place to do that.
Thank you, Devin.
To see friendly people, to have a drink, to have some great food. Can people follow you? Do you have social media, Instagram, Facebook?
Yes, we do Norma G's Cuisine, and we do have Instagram. We have Facebook. I don't do a lot of Twitter. I don't have the time, but we do post on Instagram and Facebook, and a lot of our information is going to be out there as needed. And we just rebuilt the website. So it's www.normagscuisine.com. and we just had a rebuild of that, and I love it. The pictures of the food are on there, the hours, and any other information that you might need and that I wish to share.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. You've got me hungry. We're recording this, getting close to lunchtime, so I'm definitely interested in coming by soon, stopping by and having some of the great food, having a great drink, trying some of your rums. Lester, it's been great talking to you. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you soon.
Devin, thank you. I hope you come by. Make sure you ask me when you come by. You'll find me. I'm always out front. But I appreciate the opportunity. God bless you. You guys stay safe.
Thank you. I look forward to talking to you soon and tasting your food.
Take care.